Fred Morrison, and since we've released our new Uilleann pipe range, I've had so many questions from highland pipers that I thought I would just take a wee bit of time to speak to highland pipers about Uilleann pipes and the transition between highland pipes and Uilleann pipes and how easy it is to pick up and play a tune. I often get asked about practice sets, half sets, full sets, questions like that, so I'm just going to explain a bit about the instrument for you. The first thing I'm going to do is I'll just give you a wee blast of the chanter. It's a lovely sound and easy to play, doesn't take a lot of pressure, but very effective sound and a lovely instrument all round. So that's the sound of the chanter. Now the first thing people always ask me is, if I was to try Uilleann pipes, how long would it take me to get a tune going? It's a very simple question, and the answer is not long at all. Half an hour maybe, something like that. The first thing I'll do is I'll show you the scale, and then I'll show you how to change over to it. And people often ask as well, what is it you do when you lift the chanter off your knee? And it's very simple. It just gives you the bottom note of the scale, the very lowest note in the scale, which is the note D. So every time you want the note D, you just lift it off your knee. Okay, and the low note D is fingered just like our low G, all fingers on, but it's low D here. Okay, that's the first note. And when you go to the next note, E, you don't just lift your pinky. This is really the only thing that's slightly different, is you lift both fingers to go to E. So you go from D, E, then F, then G. Of course it goes up in those letters because it's getting higher in pitch. D, E, F, G, A, obviously. So I'll just give you a wee run through the scale and you'll be able to see how simple it is to make the transition. So low D, low E, low F, low G, A, C natural. C natural's with the top finger off and the middle finger of the right hand off. Then C sharp, you've got C sharp like this, and then back D, your last note on the scale. Okay, so I'll run through that again for you. Low D, E, F, G, A, B, C natural, C sharp, and then back D. So that's the scale. And if you notice, I'm actually stopping in between the notes because it's blocked off on my knee. That makes the bellowing much easier. Unlike real pipes and small pipes where the chanter's there and you have to keep everything going, you can actually stop in between the notes, which makes the control of it just a bit easier. People often ask, of course, the second octave, is it hard to play in the second octave? Well, it's not at all. You just lean on your bag and bellows to give you slightly more pressure, not a lot, it's not hard, it doesn't take a lot of air, and the same scale will go up in the second octave. Okay, so that's those. It's not difficult. It's a wee bit like riding a bike or something, the second octave. Once you get the knack of it, it's not physically demanding at all. It's just you get to be able to make the transition smoothly. So that's really the scale now. And as you can see, it's similar but slightly different, but it wouldn't take pipers long. It's not complex. It's not something that would be tricky on your brain. I would say, you know, after a day or two, it's just like second nature. You think, oh yeah, that's that note, that's that note. It's quite straightforward. To get a tune going, if we were to think of a nice slow air, you don't need a lot of ornamentation. The difference with Uilleann pipes and highland pipes is that with Uilleann pipes you can play as little or as much ornamentation as you want. It's completely up to the individual player. And because they've got such nice big rounded out notes with such a nice sound, it's very nice to get a beautiful slow air going with almost playing no ornamentation. But again, you can put in as much or as little as you want. And simple grace notes, like the equivalent of Highland Piper's E grace note, which of course is an A grace note on the Uilleann pipes, with the third finger of the left hand, that's very effective on the low notes. A bit of vibrato when you vibrate a finger gives a lovely effect, and then the odd wee kind of tap or strike, that works very well with or without a grace note. Supposing we take a simple slow air like popular slow air like Heck to the Hero, for example. We all like Heck to the Hero. I'll just give you a blast through the first part and you'll see what I'm talking about. If we were to play it in the low register, starting on low D, which I've shown you, of course your chanter will come off your knee for the first note and then straight back down. The only note you take it off your knee for is the low D. Just make sure you've always got it back on your knee. That's when people learn for the first few minutes, they're always wanting to lift the chanter up because we're so used to it. But just put it down and it's not a problem. So Heck to the Hero. Wee bit of vibrato. Strike. Okay, on we go. Okay, so that's the first part. Now, most pipers I know could handle that no problem. And what that allows you then to do is to get up and running. And it makes you have a nice sound, a good tune, and should give you the confidence then to go from strength to strength. That's very simple but effective fingering, as you can see. People often ask me, what's that other sound you get from the low D? Well, that's the hard D. When you lift it off your knee at just at normal pressure, you get the low D. But if you apply pressure or apply the grace note with your left hand, you'll get what they call the hard D, like this, which is a really nice sound, and you hear Uilleann pipers using it a lot. It's really nice for the end of phrases. For example, end of Heck to the Hero. It's really nice just to finish the tune off. Other simple ornamentations that you might use would be like a strike with a grace note on it. Okay, you can, if you want to get more adventurous, you could add in back D triplets, which would be like our high A, with all fingers down apart from the thumb. That kind of thing. Wee glide notes where you might go to the note below your note you're going to, and like this. That's very used a lot with Uilleann pipes, and you can add a grace note to it. It's very straightforward for Highland pipers to adapt to that. But with a few of these wee things like that, you'd be up and running with a nice tune in no time at all. So that's the practice set. That's basically what you have with a practice set. You have the bag, the chanter, and the bellows. And for people, small pipe players or real pipe players already, who already have bellows, good news, because it's going to save you a few quid, and you can use them straight away with a practice set or a half set or a full set of Uilleann pipes. So basically, that's a good wee introduction to a practice set and how to get up and going with a tune. I hope that helps you well. Thanks a lot. Hi, just a couple of thoughts about the practice set before we move on to the half set. I wanted to mention a couple of things about the fingering that I was talking about. And when I was showing you the slow air Heck to the Hero, In the fingering I showed you, you're actually playing it in the key of D down here. As you'll see that D is the finishing and starting note and predominant note. Down there we're playing it on low D. If you wanted to play along with small pipes or real pipes, you would be starting on A up here, which is something that as you move on, maybe in a month or so, you would start playing in other keys like that. And that's our low E here, same as the low A on the pipes. The scale on the for the highland pipes, equivalent on the uilleann pipes, would be as follows, starting on our low G, which would be here, G, like this. That's like the same A as if you were playing on an A small pipe chapter. That scale and an A pipe scale on an A small pipe chapter would be dead in together. So if you wanted to play tunes in A, etc., you'd be starting on this A here. Also with the fingering, as I was saying, I was just trying to show how simple it is to get going on it, but of course the top uilleann pipers, they can use some amazing really intricate ornamentation. Some of the great players like Johnny Dorn, Paddy Keenan, John McSherry, you hear these great players, and it really is quite mind-blowing. It's quite beautiful to listen to, but it's something that, as I say, the player can pick or choose. And if you want to play a nice tune with just a wee bit of ornamentation, that's perfectly acceptable, and a lot of the great players do that too. Whether it's a real or a slow air, you can play it with very little ornamentation. It doesn't need a lot to sound beautiful with the way the nice notes sound and the way you make the tune feel. But I hope that's enough to get you going. Also, the last thing I'm going to talk about is this gadget here. This silver part is part of the drone stock that would be required for a half or a full set. And to build it up from a practice set, you would simply unscrew this piece here. It just screws out on a tread like that, and comes all the way out, and then you would add the drone stock of your half set in its place. Okay, so that comes out, and then you would add the drone stock and drones in there, and you're ready to go with drones again, which is a great wee gadget. But of course a lot of people just go for the half set or the full set in a one-piece thing, and have everything set up for them at the one time. But it is possible to add drones, no problem, and that takes you to a half set. A half set being bag, chanter, bellows and drones, and that's what I'm going to talk